Good day, good people. This is Dr. Hetheru, your personal change coach and village elder. I am so happy to be with you today. And the shift in my thinking today for our conversations is in the beginning. So this really is about things I want you to know. And I'm taking it from our beginning. So I want you to think about, as I share with you, think about your beginning. Think about the family that you were born into. Think about the values of that family. Think about what you've learned. Think about how you've grown into an adult. Think about how you may have your own family, or you may have your own path that you've carved. That could be based on your career. That could be based on your love or your interests. It could be based on any of those things. But where you are now, I want you to journey with me and let's make an assessment of where you are now. And I want to also share with you that in the beginning, this idea of the journey, where that comes from. And if you do your research, and as I do my research as well, I took my journey back to some ancient Kemetic principles. I took my journey back to the beginning, like your beginning of your relationship with God, where that is, where some of the origins of the values, the standards, the beliefs, the conversations, the things that have been passed down from generation to generation. So one of the things I want to just capture is the idea of the journey and where that concept comes from and what the journey is really about. What is the end result of the journey? And we talk about a lot of times that the lesson is about the journey and not the destination. So I want to talk a little bit about that as it relates to principles of Ma'at and what that means in our ancient Kemetic history and teachings. So I mentioned in our last episode that the principles of Ma'at, they're principles of Ma'at and they're also virtues. And one of the understandings is that virtue has to be taught. Virtue is not something that you're born with. It is something that you have to be taught the understanding of. And I was able to print these out so I can share with you what those 10 virtues really are. So 1 through 10. The first one is control of your thoughts. So as you are becoming who you are meant to be, as you are engaging in the journey, these are the 10 practices. This is your why. These are the 10 practices that we are trying to master. So the first thing we want to master is the control of our thoughts. The control of our thoughts really is about, are you able to be disciplined enough to have a thought? And if that thought doesn't serve you or others, to remove that thought instead of acting on it. Control of thought. Being able to control what you think and what you do as a result of your thinking and as a result of your thoughts. Number 2 is control of your actions. So just because you have a thought, do you have to act on that thought, whether it serves you, serves others, or harms you or harms others? Can you control that? And you know that has a lot to do with our addictions, things that we are addicted to. Are you able at some point to end, quit, stop, reevaluate our addictions, things that we do that no longer serve us? The next thing is number 3, devotion of purpose. Can you commit to something and follow all the way through with it? Can you commit to something that is for your best interest, for the best interest of others, and can you actually follow through with it? That's devotion to purpose. The next one is number 4. Do you have the faith and the ability of your teacher to teach you the truth? Do you have enough faith in a teacher, whoever is your teacher or whatever is your teacher at that time, to teach you the truth? And so part of where we are in our education system is the questions now have been raised about, have you really been taught the truth? And once you are taught the truth, can you apply that truth from that point forward? Or do you continue to think and believe the same false histories and false doctrines that have been taught before? Can you have the ability to change? Number 5, do you have faith in yourself to assimilate the truth? And in this election, a lot of that is coming to surface. Do you have the ability to judge or gauge right from wrong? Do you have the ability to gauge what may be the truth versus what is not the truth? Even based on appearances, even based on popularity, even based on others' opinion. Can you, as an individual, assimilate the truth? And then what do you associate with that truth? Number 6, do you have the faith to use the truth actively in a positive way? So do you go along with what the trends are because it's trendy, or do you go along with what and how you apply truth to the expression of the things that mean something to you, or your expressions in daily life, or your choices and beliefs? Do you have the skill to assimilate the truth and use it in a positive way? Number 7, are you free from resentment under the experience of prosecution? Can you do what's right even when it's unpopular? Can you stand up for a cause even when other people doubt it, or other people are against it, or shun you because of your standing up for that truth? Do you have the capability to do it? Number 8, can you be free from resentment under the experience of wrong? That's another one. That's a very tricky one. Even when you are going a separate path and you may find yourself going in the wrong direction or making the wrong decision, can you turn that around and follow what might be a more righteous path or the best path for you or others? Number 9, can you cultivate the ability to distinguish between right and wrong? How are you able to tell the difference when something is right or something is wrong? Will you, do you have the ability to distinguish between right and wrong, and then to make the adjustment? And lastly, number 10, can you cultivate the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is unreal? What is real and what is unreal? And some of us have a question about whether spirit is something that's really real, or is this existence, this body, all there is? Are you more than just your spirit? Are you more than just your body? That's a question that you would have to cultivate to understand that too. The difference between what's real and the difference between what's unreal. And that could play out in many ways. That could play out in whether it's a story or something that you feel versus something that you can see. And we've learned that faith is not about what you see. It is about what you don't see, but that ultimately manifests when you follow those principles, right? Okay. So I wanted to make sure, because when you read up on the virtues of Ma'at, it says that the neophytes, or those who were the seekers in ancient history and ancient Kemetic studies, that those were the people who were faced with these 10 virtues. These were the answers that they were trying to live. This is the way that they were trying to live in the 10 virtues. And the other component that makes up the principles of Ma'at, there are 7 principles of Ma'at. They are truth, and we spoke a lot of truth in the virtues. Truth, justice, reciprocity, order, harmony, propriety, and balance. Let me give them to you again. Truth, justice, harmony, balance, order, reciprocity, and propriety. These are also the principles that one who is a seeker is living by. And so if you look at those very closely, these are in the decisions that we make every day. Are you in harmony? Are you causing chaos? And are you arguing? Is it confusion around you? If you find that happening to you, you must reset and find out what needs to happen, because order is also one of the principles. So something is out of order or out of alignment if you have a lot of confusion, a lot of argument, a lot of fussing and fighting around you. So we need to rethink those principles. And I think those principles are really good tools to live by. But as you're on your journey and you're seeking the lessons and you're seeking the understanding and you're seeking to grow and you're applying your beliefs, these are like basic foundation tools that you need to have on your journey. So when you're looking to find how do I elevate, it is giving attention to the virtues, it's giving attention to the principles that help set us in order and keep us focused and on a path. And so this is what we're looking for in our life lessons, the principles and the virtues. So when you are reevaluating a situation or a choice or a decision, these are what you're reevaluating them against. Okay? So I thought that was really important as we talk about this idea of a journey and where we are now and where we're going. And so I learned these things very early on. At least I was exposed to them. And I thought it was important to share that with you, because everybody that's seeking, it doesn't necessarily share with you where you're really trying to go or what you're looking for. You just have that feeling that something is stirring in you, but you don't know what it is. So this gives you somewhere to start. It gives you a way to assess where you're going. So what I want to share with you is that was kind of the first part of my journey that started to open up, to give me some direction. And as I continued, years down the line, some other things happened. So one of the opportunities that I had was to be exposed to the hero's journey, and that's through Joseph Campbell. Has a book around the hero's journey, and there are different stages that go along with the hero's journey. But as women, there's a female or shero's journey, and some it's kind of retold in different ways by different people. But one that stood out to me the most was one by, her name is Victoria Reynolds. And you can look her up. She's also a speaker. But she made a cycle of the shero's journey that I think is really helpful. And when you think about a journey, you're talking about something that is a start, middle, and an end. If you think about the story itself, there's a starting point of the story. Even if you're jumping in the middle of a circumstance or situation of somebody's life, there's a starting point, there's a midpoint, and then there's an ending. And so what I want to share with you, just a few of the steps or stages in the female shero's journey from this point of view. Most of the journeys start off with a question or a quest. What are you trying to find? What are you trying to understand? What have you been gifted with as a cause? And so one of the first stages is, and this is both in the hero and the shero, but for you as women, I want you to know that part of it is, it starts off with a separation or a traumatic event. And so we're not saying what that event is, but if you have had a traumatic event, know that that is a benchmark in your journey. Like that's another season in your journey. It's another stage in your journey. But it's a known part of that journey. So if you understand and you have been facing something that is trying to you, traumatic to you, know that that is the beginning of the next season or cycle in your journey. After that, there is a desire of wisdom, or she has it as a call to adventure or desire for wisdom. And what that means is that at this point, we want to know why. What's happening? What's going on? I really want to understand why. And then you start to take the steps to understand that. That sets you off on the next stage of your journey. One of the next things that happens is that you meet somebody that becomes an ally, a friend, a teacher, somebody that helps you that keeps you company, you can say, along the journey, or you're learning something from them. The next thing that you face is, she describes it as demons, monsters, or enemies. So who is the antagonist in your journey? Who's next? Who is keeping up chaos? Who's confronting you? Who's drawing these things out of you? Who's making you fight? Who's making you do something that may not be in your character to do? That then would be the demon, the monster, or the enemy. The next thing you have to do is overcome. You have to find a way to overcome the challenge, overcome the monster, overcome or defeat the fear that you're facing for a level of success, which is what she calls that success. The next thing that happens is there's some type of setback, or there's some new enemy, there's some new obstacle or challenge that is presented with you or to you at that time. And then you go back, and then the next stage is in her journey is called the death and rebirth. So that really just means the old you no longer exists. That you have been reborn in a new mindset and a new strength and a new attitude and a new outlook. So that's what the rebirth and death means. And so that's kind of our midpoint. That's how you know that you're midway through, when you have a breakthrough and you recognize your strength. You recognize, I am not the same that I was when I started this or when this incident happened. The next thing, which is a blessing, is that you uncover your gifts. So you uncover gifts, you activate gifts. And at this point in your journey, what you're activating are things that are already in you, or things that have been developed in you because of the circumstance that you've gone through in that journey. And because of your new mindset, you are able to unlock some of the challenges that you faced because you have a new mindset, because you've moved beyond that. The next cycle in this journey is you find yourself moving, acting in purpose, on purpose. The lessons of why you are here, at least why you're here at that time, begin to emerge. So your purpose begins to emerge. Now, I'm an advocate for other women who may have faced this obstacle or challenge. I am a believer in my own strength. I'm a new person, and I'm stronger, and I'm smarter, and I'm wiser because of it. And so that helps to foster our greater purpose. The next thing that we face, this one says, healing wounds and reframing old stories. When I talk about going back to your backstory to find out where some of the origin of some of our challenges, our obstacles, our pain, that's part of that process. We go back and we assess what happened before the incident, what led up to that incident, and now I'm wiser for it, and I can share it with others. I have a voice now where I can say that this is what happened, this is why it happened, this is what happened before that, and this is where I am now. The next one is repairing bonds and restoring balance. How do you restore a sense of being normal, or being comfortable, or getting situated, or getting beyond where you were? How do you establish that sense of normalcy? And then that is the next season. And then from there's another level. And this is one of the last two, but it's called the resurrection or the reunification. Now you are and have completed this cycle, and you are ready to be named a master teacher, a guide, a mother, a friend, like whatever that next level is. And it's a higher level than it was when you started this journey. And when you get there, this is where the wisdom and the virtue is developed and established. Having gone through those things, you have something greater to offer into the world and to yourself. And that kind of is another stage of the journey. That's when you elevate. Now, we talked before about the process of change. So the process of change is new information, appreciation for that information. The next ascending aspect of change is application. So you're able to apply the things that you've learned. The next one is transformation. You have transformed from who you were to who you are now. And finally is elevation, meaning that you've gone to another level. You're at another level of who you were meant to be. You're more confident. You're more experienced. And now you're at that higher level. And what happens at the point of elevation at your next level is that the cycle begins again. And so if you know the key points of the cycle, you can recognize when you're in a cycle. And that is so important because sometimes the things that we're facing, like that initial traumatic incident, which starts us on that path, that initial incident can be devastating. And you don't know how to handle it. You don't know how it's going to turn out. But the cycles or the steps on the journey are going to repeat. They're going to repeat. And it typically happens that way for all of us. We go through this whole process, but the process is designed to elevate you to a master level, to elevate you to the next level, so that when you start this time, and as the neophyte from the beginning, as we talked about the principles of Ma'at, the seeker, the believer, as you cycle, it is to strengthen you. It's not to keep you in the same place, but it is to strengthen you and to make you more wise so that you recognize when these next steps on the journey are taking place. So now, as you continue to master your life and your journey, you are able to recognize when things are happening. So you're like, I feel like this has happened before, or why does this keep happening to me? Either of those questions raised help you to be able to understand where you're trying to go. And that these are the lessons so that you are interacting with others as you go along this process, but you're also mastering your own fears. You're mastering your own traumatic events. And remember that there's a point in these steps where you have to go back and reflect on why. You have to go back and reflect on the fact that you have overcome it, that you have new tools and you have new gifts and you have new strengths to be able to endure the next cycle or the next elevation. So I want you to be able to see that these are not isolated incidents. This is a process. And when we talk about our journey of life, it is the process. And again, it's not about arriving at a space. It's about elevating to the next cycle or the next level. And I think that's really, really important to understand. And just to share that in my journey, I've shared this with you before, so some of the traumatic experiences that I've had. I've shared those. But I've also gone through these steps, and I recognize where I am. So in my journey now, I am closer to resurrection and mastering the last cycle for me. And so one of the things that I have been on my quest that has been more than 20 years at this point, or just at 20 years, that 2025 is a elevation point for me, because I would have gone through this process. I was charged in 2003 was when I first heard the vision, or was given the vision. 2004, I went through my training process to be equipped to manage and navigate the vision that was given to me. And then 2004, I went on to my journey. And during that time, I was homeless for those 2 years because I was traveling. And I was traveling by faith, which was one of the criteria in the steps of the journey, is you have to walk by faith. And so because my faith has been so strengthening during this journey, I recognize the stages. I'm a lot better at recognizing the stages a lot faster than I used to. So the things that I had experienced depression in my life and on my journey before. But when I got to a certain level, after mastering that, I recognize it when it's coming and I understand my why it's happening to me. And a lot of people feel that shift in energy and shift in their vibration around December or when it starts to get cold. A lot of people feel depressed, but they're lacking some level of understanding about what happens during that season. Just as the nature is hibernating, we have that same feeling. So we feel heavier because we have less sunlight, we have less vitamin D. We're feeling that way because the days are shorter and it's darker quicker. All of those are part of the process. But understand that this process, it's specifically in a season. The season is winter. What happens after the season of winter? Spring. What happens after spring? Summer. What happens after summer? Fall. So there's a cycle. There is a season. And our world, our inner world, is reflecting the outer world. In Michigan, we get to experience all 4 seasons, right? And so understand that your inner world is experiencing those 4 seasons as well. It's experiencing your spring, your summer, your fall, your winter. And when you're feeling at your lowest, or you may be feeling depressed, you may want to recalibrate where you are in your season. And so are you getting enough sunlight? Are you getting enough vitamin D? Are these things taking place in you? Is it something in you that is causing you to be more drained or unaware? If you're following these steps, it's a good gauge to help you to understand where you are, because you need to move toward the purpose of mastery. So that means you have to go through something to master something. You need to go through something for those new gifts to emerge. You have to go through something to understand and learn more about you. Your resurrection. You're different after you've gone through something. And you're more strong. You're more available mentally and emotionally and spiritually, because you're available to somebody else who may have gone through it. You can share the experience. You can encourage others. We're interconnected. Not only are we experiencing seasons, but we're also experiencing the interconnection when we're on the same frequency and vibration. And I know you've heard me talk about that before. The frequency is where you are. The vibration is how you feel while you are there. And when you experience both and they line up, they manifest something in your world. And so the more you're aware of that and you're looking at your journey in that way, the more details, the more mastery you have to. So my lessons for the journey, the purpose of sharing these things with you is so that you have a little more deeper understanding of what's really happening with you in this season. We're in the age of Aquarius. That plays a significant role in what's happening in you, because it's drawing out those gifts, those talents, those abilities. It's elevating you in a spiritual way. It's bringing forth your awareness, your personal growth, your sense of purpose, your sense of there's more to this story that I'm understanding, and I need to try to understand because it's important. And you start to feel the urgency and the things that you know you need to do as you uncover and establish yourself and your purpose. These are things that are all interconnected. These are things of the journey. But understand, for the believer, for the seeker, or for the neophyte, the ones that are just starting out, these are the things that impact your journey. So I wanted to make sure that you had at least some way to see the fullness of what is happening in your world and happening in our world and how we're interconnected. And so I want to talk a little bit about an event that is coming up in October called the Women Ignited Summit 2024, The Perfect Plan. It is part of a vision that was given to me. Again, the vision started 20 years ago, and now it's being fulfilled again. This is the next cycle. The major cycle of fulfillment for me is this Women Ignited Summit. and this work with Women Ignited. Every month, a team of us, the collective, that would be Dr. Chief Silent Storm, it is Crystal L. Gunn, it is Calvin T. Mann, or Dr. Calvin T. Mann, it is myself, and it is a host of other women, men, organizations who understand and feel this shift and what's happening in women, and how we're being elevated into leadership positions, how we're being elevated and pushed out front to do more of the work of change that's necessary in our families and our communities. It's so important that for me, it started 20 years ago in preparation for this. The first part of my quest was to reach out to 10,000 women across 5 states. And it took me 2 years to do that. And during those 2 years, that's when I experienced homelessness. And it was a voluntary homelessness because I had a quest that was in front of me, and it was more important than anything I was given to do at that time. And so now, in this season of emerging, it's as important today, even more so, because now we're at another level, and I've been placed at another elevation to be able to do what I need to do in this time, which is bring people together and help people to find those spaces and places that no longer serve them. To help people to come together to bring their gifts, talents, and abilities so that we can all elevate, so that we can do what we are called to do in this season, which is to heal our families. The ultimate vision about this season is healing our families and elevating through the gifts, talents, and abilities that lie, for some of us, are still dormant in us. But you are awakening because you have no choice, because this season that we're in is causing this awakening. And so a lot of what you see in this season have to do with, and you see more of it in TV and movies, people like X-Men that have these incredible gifts. There are lots of different gifts that we have that are operating in people right now. Some of them are the ones that you may see in movies. Some of them are other types of gifts that we had no idea that would show up as a gift. And so my role right now is to help women to see this inner journey that we have, to engage in this reflective process, to engage in the healing work of the inner being, because we are doing so many incredible, phenomenal things in the world as we're elevating and we're leading and we're changing things. And it's evident in front of us every day. It's evident in us every day. It doesn't mean that we're leaving men behind. It doesn't mean that we're leaving other women behind. It just means that some of us are ahead in the journey. That's all it means. And so for the season that we're in, we need to give attention to that season. And part of my commitment is that there's an opportunity for women every month to do that inner healing. Because if you're elevating and you get to a point where all you have to pour out is all you have, we need for you to have this experience so that you get to that point where you're in the rebirth, where you have initiated new gifts and understanding. We need those things to emerge in the world, because that's part of the change that's missing. Our inner work is going to balance the outer work that we're doing. So when you go to pour into someone, to pour into a cause, to pour into another soul, that what you're pouring into them is balanced. Because right now, a lot of us are experiencing imbalance. And as we're experiencing this imbalance, we're pouring that out in the world. And we still see so much crime. We still see so much hate, because we need more inner work so that we can balance those things that we're seeing that are not of the virtues, are not of the principles of Ma'at. If you don't see the principles of Ma'at manifesting in front of you in your work, in your family, in your home, and all 7 of them must be present. So that means it's order. That means it should be harmony. That means it should be reciprocity. We're working together. I give, you give. If you're not seeing that in your relationships, if you're not seeing that in your work, if you're not seeing that in your home, we have more work to do. As an individual, we have more work to do. So our goal and our focus should be on, how do I manifest these 7 principles in my life every day? And what things are blocking me from doing that? So the Women Ignited Summit is about helping you unblock that. So you have your perfect plan of how to elevate to the next level. That is what's essential about the Women Ignited Summit. We need tools. We need to come together because we need to be on the same frequency and the same vibration at the same time. And imagine just 100 women in that one space on the same frequency, feeling ignited and ready to make a difference in the world, and that they feel that energy. Have you been in a place where you feel that energy? Your hair stands up on your arm like mine is doing right now, on the back of your neck. That's part of the frequency. That's your ability to absorb that energy, that exchange that's in the place that you're in. That the words have been spoken, that you feel that, it resonates with you. This is where we're trying to go. This is what that Women's Ignited Summit is about. How do we do this in our personal lives? How do we detox? How do we find our tribe, our support system? Remember, on the steps on the Shiro's journey, remember at some point she meets friends, teachers, and allies. That's your tribe. And it may not be the ones that were journeying with you last year. It may be time to add new allies or teachers or friends at this summit, this Women Ignited Summit. That is who's there. Our keynote speaker is Gail Perry Mason. And if you know anything about Gail Perry Mason, she is a woman with a plan. And she wants you to benefit from her wisdom and her knowledge. The same thing for Crystal L. Gunn. She pours her soul into unleashing those things that hold us financially. Dr. Chief Silent Storm. She is an inner healer. She's a holistic practitioner. The things that she's looking to do is to help us to find our way. She's gone through that. Remember, when you look at the Shiro's journey, that's where it starts. You have to have something to pour back into somebody else. So when you get to a master level, and it doesn't mean that once you're at that master level, you're done. We have to continue to elevate. I am a master teacher. I have to continue to elevate. So if I'm not going through this cycle, and I haven't gained new gifts, talents, and abilities, and I'm not pouring back into others, then I'm not doing what I'm called to do. And I cannot have harmony in my inner being. That's one of the principles, one of the 7 principles. I can't have harmony in my inner being if my sister is in disharmony. It doesn't work like that. So I'm going to keep pouring out, because my journey and the lessons that I'm learning from this journey are all interconnected. We're all interconnected. You're going to help me fulfill my destiny and purpose. I'm going to help you fulfill yours. The Women's Ignited Summit 2024 is the space that you need to be. You need to be in that space. If you're on this journey, you need to understand that your perfect plan is to understand and navigate the challenges, the obstacles, and the joys in this process. Because there is joy, because it has to be balanced. It can't all be hardship. It has to have joy, or we're out of order. And it has to be in order for us to have harmony. Right? So all of it is interconnected. So I'm going to give you these tools. I'm going to encourage you to research this for yourself. Add this to your journal for further reflection and contemplation. So first, I want you to look up the neophyte, what that means, the seeker or the believer, the one that's on this course. So start there so you understand what that is about. Secondly, I want you to research the principles of Ma'at and the 10 virtues of Ma'at and the 7 principles of Ma'at, because you could come across the 42 admonitions too. But I want you to focus on principles and virtues. And the third thing I want you to focus on is the Shero's journey. As a woman, the Shero's journey. And I'm going to encourage you to use Victoria Reynolds' Shero's journey. Just look it up and you can find it's an easy diagram for you to go by. And thank you, Victoria, for putting that together for us so that we can benefit from that as well. I also want you to then, once you find the Shero's journey, I want you to go back to your journal. If you can find your first journal or your first entry of the journal for 2024, I want you to go back and reflect on that. Where were you at the beginning of this year? What were you thinking? Where do you want to be by the end of this year? And how do you plan to get there? So I'm going to encourage you again to attend the Women's Ignited Summit 2024, scheduled for Saturday, October the 12th. It's an all-day event, so it's from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. I want you to be prepared of all the amazing women who are in this process of this journey, who's at a mastery level in this journey. I want you to take it in. I want you to learn from them, or learn from us, because I'm one of the presenters. I'm connecting with relationships. And we're talking about relationships, social relationships, how we look at people and how they look at us. We're looking at intimate relationships. We're looking at family structure in relationships. All of those. And so family structure and relationships is being facilitated by Antoinette James. Our social relationships, our interrelationships, is being facilitated by Ma'at Sabah. And again, the intimate relationships are being facilitated by me. In our personal lives, Dr. Chief Silent Store is dealing with inner healing. Elder Nicole S. Miller is also facilitating how do we detox, how do we unload all of the things that we've taken in that may be harmful to us, but we no longer serve us. She's going to walk us through that process. And then Adrena Sasser is going to walk us through finding and connecting with the tribe. And I hope you're seeing how all of this is embedded in the Shero's journey. So you understand it really is a process. And then Crystal Gunn is going to speak on wills, trusts, power of attorney, things that we need to have in preparation for life. And then finally, our amazing Stacy Hunter is going to cover credit and budgeting. And if you know Stacy, she offers such a real plan of action. She helps you to take the judgment out of our choices and helps empower us to make those decisions that are going to help change our lives, our financial lives. So we have a lot of great people who we brought together to help you navigate these waters, to help you on this journey of self-exploration, to help you understand and navigate where you are. And I'm going to have these tools there at the Women's Summit so that you make sure that you have enough understanding of what's really happening now. So I'm super excited that we're spending time today, and these are things that I want you to know. I really want you to know, because I need for you to be empowered, because you are the difference that is going to be made in our world. And so I like to thank you. I like to thank my producer, Chantel, who is such a wise agent of change and to help to make sure that my voice is heard. So I thank her. I thank Podcastic, and I thank everybody that has been supporting and listening in. Please play this over again. Please play this over again. Journal. It's going to be your saving grace. It's one of your tools in this experience. So make sure you do that. And you can sign up for the Women Ignited Summit and the free workshops every month leading up to it and after it at www.yourinspiredjourney.com. That's yourinspiredjourney.com. Find us under upcoming events and sign up for those free workshops, those trainings, because again, you cannot elevate without new information. And so we need for you to be there, and we need for you to attend this 2024 Women's Ignited Summit. It is the thing that you need for your perfect plan. I hope to see you there. Stay clear. See you next time.